Hello, Milwaukee Bucks fans. Welcome back to Bucks Latest, presented by FanArch.com. I'm your host, Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, turning on post notifications to stay up to date with all the latest trends and topics regarding the Milwaukee Bucks. Anyways, we have some interesting topics to get into today on the docket, so we're just going to get right into it. In a weird turn of events, it seems as though the Milwaukee Bucks could use the allure of Doc Rivers to bring in some veteran free agents this summer, and new updates from Fansided's Landon Swan have indicated that several options could be brought in through their previous experience with Doc Rivers from a coaching perspective. First, Swan suggests that the Bucks target Matisse Thybulle of the Portland Trailblazers, and I am certainly not against this in any stretch of the imagination, especially if they can snag him for what could be a bargain deal. Thybulle has started to become one of the most underrated defensive wings in the entirety of the NBA, and again, that could be attributed to his lack of a three-point shot and just overall offensive game, but still, in terms of plain defensive skill on the perimeter, there's not many better players or better options than Thybulle. And if the Bucks could get him by using maybe only $2 to $3 million in annual salary to pick up a guy with that much pure skill on that end, it's definitely something to monitor. And something also worth noting is that while I mentioned that he previously struggled from three-point range, as it's been evident throughout his short career, he actually knocked down a ridiculous 43.8% of his three-point looks last season. Granted, it was only in 15 appearances with the Portland Trailblazers before he suffered both ankle and knee injuries, which kept him out for a while. But Thybulle is a two-time All-Defensive Team selection, and if the Bucks were to pair him with Giannis in certain defensive lineups next season, it would definitely make a difference for the Bucks. And another option that Swan suggests that the Bucks could target is the ageless wonder Chris Paul, the 40-year-old. He will be entering his 21st NBA season, and maybe his last. It's still evident that his skill and consistency have remained, as he contributed 8.8 points and 7.4 assists for the Spurs last season while playing all 82 games. Paul proves to continue to be a fantastic option, and he could be a fantastic option specifically for the Bucks in the wake of the Damian Lillard extended absence with the torn Achilles. So he could work with Giannis and pick and roll. He can definitely do some things in spot minutes, in about like 20 to 25 minutes per game. But whether Paul would want to finish his illustrious Hall of Fame career as a member of the Bucks remains a mystery. When there's other more suitable options, maybe like the Lakers, where he could be closer to home, as he stated previously that he's been away from his children for a while, especially in like the second half or like the second leg of his career, and that he wants to be a dad. He wants to be around, and going back to LA would definitely help with that. So if he were to go to Milwaukee, it would definitely muddy things in that area. But Chris Paul, definitely another name to watch. And one last option that I think could definitely work, because I've watched a lot of Golden State Warriors games this season, and especially in the beginning of the season, it could be DeAnthony Melton, though he may be a little harder to acquire. He could have tons of prospective suitors, because he showed just how impactful he could be to a winning team at the beginning of the season as a member of the Warriors. And through his incredible two-way play, he unfortunately suffered an ACL sprain that sidelined him for basically the entirety of the season, and in only 6 games for the Warriors, he put up 10.3 points, 1.2 steals, knocked down about 37% of his threes, and but he still boasted a 110 defensive rating per 100 possessions, which is just sensational. Melton might be a perfect option in free agency because, just because of that two-way potential. Again, another defensive guy to pair with Giannis in the backcourt this time, helping him out on the perimeter, making sure would-be attackers of the rim just don't get easily to the basket. He could be a perfect option, but like I said before, he could be pursued by tons of teams, especially, again, like the Lakers, who could be trying to pry him away from the Warriors if they look to have a reunion. But there will be several teams that undoubtedly give him a call to to offer the idea of him joining their squad in 2025-26. And moving forward, we have some new updates regarding the NBA draft as it's still inching towards us. It'll come at the end of the month, but the Bucks are still active in their scouting pursuit to figure out who could be their best option to select with the number 47 overall pick in this draft. And the draft is set to take place on the 25th, I believe, of the month. And recent updates from SB Nation's Finley Cool have given us some insight on who the Bucks may be looking to select, what kind of player they'll want to develop alongside Giannis if he were to return. So another interesting wrinkle in this offseason for the Bucks with the Giannis trade saga still looming. Two prospects that interest me specifically are ones that Cool talked about in his recent draft roundup for SB Nation, and the first is Ihsan Almansa of the NBL's Perth Wildcats. He is a very intriguing prospect due to his pure athleticism, incredible wingspan. It allows him to knock down an array of shots near the basket, like baby hooks, turnarounds. He can also just power shots up. The way I see Almanza is he's sort of a lengthier Isaiah Hartenstein in a lot of ways, mostly because he just has this innate ability to always be in the right place at the right time, always hanging around the basket, running in transition, and just, coming in as a trailer at the last second to finish plays. And he's also got a very similar floater to Isaiah Hartenstein, where, it's just the super high arcing shot, maybe 6 to 8 feet away from the rim. And you just know, like Isaiah Hartenstein, that like once he puts it up, there's a great chance that it's going to fall through the net. Almanza has also shown a clear knack for running the floor in transition. He's very athletic. He's also shown some jump shooting, mid-range jump shooting, and three-point shooting flash. So he could very well be piquing the interests of the Bucks top brass in the coming weeks, just because he looks to be incredibly versatile, and that is something that the Bucks could target, especially with, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, with Andre Jackson being the Bucks' X factor in a lot of ways due to his athleticism, because the Bucks sorely need athleticism and are missing athleticism. That Almanza could be a guy that comes in and immediately changes things up in terms of their rotations for next season. The second name that particularly caught my attention was Memphis's Dane Danger, who just came off an amazing season, putting up about 14.7 rebounds, 1.3 blocks for Memphis, and he led the AAC with a 61.5% field goal percentage. He's another dominant big, as you'll see. There's kind of a trend of those kinds of players being pursued by the Bucks in this draft. A dominant big with insane measurables. He's 6'9", 270. 270 pounds per Sports Reference, and he could plausibly share the front court with Giannis in certain packages and certain lineups if he were to be selected with the number 47 overall pick. His rebounding, he's shown ball handling potential, and his overall agility could serve him very well heading closer as we inch towards the 2025 NBA draft. In other news, back to Giannis rumors, but in a massive turn of events, NBC Sports' Kurt Helland recently reported that some insiders around the league have grown wary of Giannis Antetokounmpo requesting a trade out of Milwaukee this summer. And Helland shared specifically that NBA insider Jake Fisher has some apparent skepticism of the two-time league MVP actually asking out. And apparently Fisher offered a statement that he said around the combine 2.5 weeks ago, there was no shortage of optimism, of hope, of excitement from other teams that they were going to be able to potentially make an offer to get Giannis Antetokounmpo into their franchise. Of late, I'd say that the confidence has been replaced with skepticism. To a man from talking to agents, team executives, whoever, there's not a lot of belief right now at this juncture. The expectation is that they're going to believe it when they see it, that someone who has valued being the franchise face, that the central linchpin of the Bucks franchise is going to want to play somewhere else. So, though the Bucks are clearly not out of the woods yet in terms of the entirety of the Giannis trade saga, with it still ongoing, there is an absolute showing that Giannis may want to stick around. This has been an absolutely massive step in the right direction in terms of Giannis wanting to stick around with the Bucks past this offseason, that maybe he can see an immediate future with Milwaukee. So just an amazingly positive wrinkle in this story, in this whole Giannis trade saga. And finally, we have some updates regarding Pat Connaughton and the looming decision of whether he'll accept his $9.4 million player option, which could heavily impact the Bucks offseason, taking away that kind of salary, which could be used for re-signing a guy like Taurean Prince or a Gary Trent, or bringing in a guy like DeAnthony Melton or Thibault. So it's pretty interesting, just how impactful that acceptance of the player option can be. And a new update from Clutch Points recently told of Connaughton's imminent acceptance. And it said the league sources say that the Bucks guard Pat Connaughton will soon activate his $9.4 million player option for next season. And again, that came from Jake Fisher of the Steinline. And Connaughton has until June 24th to do so. So again, about a day before the draft, Connaughton could accept that player option, which could lead to some interesting scenarios. Because if he does accept that option, let's say a day or two before the NBA draft, he could very well be involved in a draft day trade, whether it's to get second round draft capital or something like that, or facilitate a bigger trade with Connaughton's salary just being thrown in there as an extra piece. It's pretty interesting to think about what the Bucks can do with the potential to move that salary. And of course, Pat played a major role in the Bucks winning the NBA title in 2021, but his three-point efficiency has seen a continual and steep decline since the Bucks hoisted that Larry O'Brien trophy. As he shot the three ball around 32% this season in only 41 games, and if he were to accept this option, look for the Bucks to attempt to throw the 32-year-old guard in some form of a trade in the immediate future. But yeah, that'll be all for me today. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Bucks Latest, presented by fanarch.com. I've been Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, turning on those post notifications for all updates regarding the Milwaukee Bucks. Thank you very much for watching, Bucks fans. I'll see you in the next one. Go Bucks.